Episode number 13 was with Crankdat.
Yes, it was super fun. And on the way home today, we actually heard Crankdat's collaboration with Marshmello on BPM on Sirius falling to pieces. So that was really exciting.
We are bringing it backwards with Crankdat.
Crankdat.
Okay, let's try it
And
again.
I'll say it one more time. Crankdat.
I've been having phone difficulties like crazy this month.
Oh, man.
Honestly, the past year. Oh, yeah. If you ever have to like get a refurbished phone, just do yourself.
Don't even do it.
It's a disaster. Yeah, it's so official.
Hell yeah.
I used to teach.
My mom's a teacher. Everything in our household is in folders. So.
That's awesome.
That's so cool. I'm sure we'll talk about it.
Of course.
Cool. Do you want to just give me a level check real quick to make sure that we are, and make sure you can hear everything?
Make sure that we're all good.
Check one, two.
Check.
All right.
Hello.
We'll check.
I think that works. Is that
all
good?
good?
Can you? Cool.
It's so nice they gave us this room.
I know.
Yeah.
We're stoked on this.
Awesome. I'm glad. I figured I was going to honestly ask when we all got down there because I
Yeah.
saw it here when I was going up to the room. But glad you guys grabbed this. This is good.
Yeah, dude. Well, thank you so much, man, for doing this. We
Of course.
really,
Thank
really
you guys for
appreciate
having
it.
me. Seriously.
So you're from Cleveland or Cleveland area?
Cleveland area. So I live actually closer to a city called Youngstown, which is about an hour outside of Cleveland.
Okay.
Not very many people are familiar with it, though. So
How? Well, it's funny because my whole family's from the Cleveland area, which when I saw that you're from Cleveland, I was like, this is amazing. There's not many of us out
Right.
here. I have family in like Elyria, Lorraine, Amherst. Is that which way is that to where you grew up?
I believe you're probably running a little bit northwest
Okay.
compared to me. I'm southeast of Cleveland.
Okay.
Pretty much equidistant from Cleveland and Pittsburgh. I'm
Oh, sure.
right on
Okay.
the border of the state. Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. But being in Ohio, you kind of have to. I mean, as I'm sure you know, Ohio sports is a little bit cult-like because there's not exactly a legacy of victory to be
Not
proud
at
of
all.
with that.
Yeah, we dress our sons in Cleveland gear.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We got that one victory.
that one time.
Well, tell me about growing up in Ohio.
Well, I don't really know anything aside from that, to be honest with you. I don't have a benchmark to compare it to. I guess now that I've gotten out and I've done the traveling thing a little bit, I can sort of reflect and see how it might compare. For me, I went to school. I graduated in a class of like 55.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, super small. And to me, I never had any idea that was small. I knew that it wasn't necessarily normal, but like my girlfriend, she graduated in like a class of like 300, 400. So
Yeah.
like when I met her and like figured that out, I was like, whoa, okay, not normal. Yeah, so pretty much for the majority, grade 1 through 12, I was with the same 55 people.
Wow.
Couple would leave, go whatever school, neighboring school or whatever.
Yeah.
But for the most part, yeah, it was just the same 55 kids.
That's crazy.
All 12 years. Yeah, yeah.
And was it was a public school? Or
Yeah,
private?
public school.
Wow.
Public school, yeah.
Is that where your mom taught?
It is, yes, actually. She teaches in the high school there. There's only 2 schools there. There's an elementary school and a high school. There's no middle school.
Oh.
The elementary school runs 1 through 6, and then the high school runs 7 through 12. So they kind of just like cut off both ends to avoid, having to have a middle school. Yeah, it's really interesting.
Yeah, because
and I never thought anything of it, you know.
sometimes you'll hear that the school will go from like, K to 8, and then you'll go
Right.
just 9th through 12th or whatever, but not like cutting it at 6.
No, they straight cut it off. It's referenced as junior high. And yeah, there's a bunch of like 12 and 13-year-olds running around the high school building.
That's crazy. That's so crazy. You were into sports and stuff, right? Growing up, you were able to get a scholarship in
Right.
school.
So I was into the abstract sports, the ones that nobody really cares about. I did a little bit of cross country in high school, but I primarily did track. I did the throwing events.
Oh, wow. So what events were you in? Shot put and all that?
Yes, yeah, I
Okay.
did shot put. I did discus. Discus was my primary event in
Wow.
high school. Yeah.
That's
yeah.
pretty
I did.
cool.
I'd have to double check and make sure nobody had beaten it, but I actually think that I still hold the record in the state of Ohio.
Wow.
So there's 3 divisions. It's divided by the size of your school, essentially. And I had the Division 3 because we were the smaller school, of course.
Yeah.
And I think it was really close to like the all-time, but I think it was second all-time in Ohio, but it was the furthest in the division.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I don't think that anybody would have beaten it, but if they did, that's great for them. Good for them.
Good for you.
They deserve it.
When you did that, was it like a big? I mean, obviously, it was a big deal. I would think, right?
Yeah, a pretty big deal for me. Definitely like a big milestone. Yeah, but like I said, it's one of those things where it's the abstract sport. Not. I mean, it's not like what can I compare it to? Like winning like the state championship in like football. That's a huge deal, of course. Cultural phenomenon. I won state in track, but honestly, at my school, as small as it was, there was a bit of a legacy of like high profile athletes. So it was kind of just like, there's another one. He'll be on his way. He'll do good things.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and no, it's really, really cool. There's a lot of really good stuff that's come from my high school's program for sure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, with the school that small, did you guys have a football team and a basketball team and stuff? Or?
Yeah, we did. And they were pretty good, like locally.
Sure.
Interestingly enough, though, like the track program was pretty much able to compete at like pretty high levels.
Okay.
There were always a certain number of athletes, just like a handful, a couple, 2 or 3 maybe, at any given time on the team that were able to compete like at the national level.
Wow.
Which, I mean, for a school with 55 kids in a graduating class, you're looking at over the for the combined 4 years, it's like 200 kids. A couple of them being able to compete nationally every year. That's nothing to scoff at.
Yeah, that's really good.
My coaches were excellent. They did a really, really good job.
Wow. And so then you got a scholarship for track?
I did, yes. I was fortunate enough to get a scholarship to continue throwing at Kent State University, which is it's also in Northeast Ohio. It's about 45 minutes away from where I grew up.
Yeah.
Really conveniently though, but it's still a really, really good throw school. I actually interestingly enough, I have a buddy of mine I have a couple buddies actually that are out in Chula Vista at the Olympic Training Center.
Oh yeah.
They're all over there doing the business training for the Olympics and all that. Yeah, one of my former teammates, I think just one. There might be 2. I think the girl is. I don't think she ever went there. But yeah, so I have a couple of buddies that are like doing Olympic business.
That's really cool. That's really awesome. Yeah. So. Yeah, because my cousin actually went to Kent State too.
Okay.
Yeah, so when I saw that, I was like, oh wow, like that's so rad.
Yeah.
So you went there for a couple years, and then you
about a year and a half. Yeah,
a year and a half, and then that's when you just kind of went full blown into the music.
Yeah, halfway through my sophomore year is when I decided to stop attending.
Really? So how did you get into music originally? Like, were you always into electronic music? How did that all start?
I started getting into electronic music when I was about 15. I was still in high school. It was actually right about at the same time that I started doing track stuff. It was a little bit later, a little tiny bit later.
Okay.
I got into throwing my freshman year, and then my sophomore year of high school was when I started like getting really, really into electronic music and creating electronic music. And I kind of just decided to start messing around with it in my free time, which is pretty scarce at the time because I was spending the majority of my time like practicing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But all the time that I could, I'd just be like sitting at home, like toying around with electronic music. My parents got me a production software for Christmas that year. Cool. And like, I kind of just like fell in love with it and like really started like devoting a lot of time to it. Not really for any purpose other than like I wanted to like get good at it. Like I wanted to like make like music that was decent,
Yeah.
Just like why not for fun? I really enjoyed it. So
that's so awesome. So you get this program and then you just taught yourself how to use it, and like how did that all start? Like you just it's just like picking up a guitar or any other instrument.
Honestly, yeah, kind of. I mean, the lineage isn't as in depth, I suppose. There's not. I mean, when I started getting into it, was kind of on the cusp of it becoming mainstream. That was when like Skrillex was really like popping off.
Okay, sure.
That's what got me into it originally. So there were a handful of like YouTube tutorials, and I'd watch all of them religiously.
Yeah, awesome.
But I think to myself all the time now, like with as much as it's grown, like over the past several years, like somebody that is getting into it now would have like a much easier time than like I did getting back into it then. But yeah, I pretty much just like watched whatever videos I could or did whatever I could. I didn't really get the opportunity to talk to anybody because being in Ohio, literally not having any connections whatsoever.
Yeah.
It wasn't until a couple of years down the line that I was fortunate enough to make some buddies that would actually like guide me a little bit. But yeah, for the most part, it was pretty much just me sitting at the computer and fiddling around and trying to make sense of what was going on.
Yeah. Did you start off by remixing other stuff? Like,
honestly,
how'd you break into that?
That's kind of where I started, and that's pretty much where I like started. My artist profile is Crankdat as well, but because I definitely wasn't good enough to like make music that made sense on my own. So I'd make like really bad remixes of just like whatever pop song was relevant at the moment. I remember like I had like a horrible remix of like Lights by Ellie Goulding.
Oh, okay.
Like in like 2013, I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, so bad. So bad.
I bet it wasn't that bad.
No, this is one of those like undisputable things you can't win. It was really bad.
Do you have it saved somewhere?
Probably. I ended up loaning that laptop to a buddy of mine who had expressed interest in doing the same thing, but I think I recall that he gave it back. So I think I have it sitting around at home somewhere. I could probably dig it up.
Okay.
Yeah, you can save that for the Smithsonian.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
But I was trolling on your Instagram, and I saw on Mother's Day you posted to your mom, Happy Mother's Day. Thank you for forcing me to take piano lessons for 7 years straight.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I can't remember how long it was. That was probably about right. All of my childhood, my mom, it was kind of the rule that like up until I got into like high school and started doing sports, it was kind of her rule that I had to do music. And I was not a fan. I didn't really care for piano. Eventually I switched to trumpet, which I think I would have liked trumpet, but I had braces on at the time. And like playing trumpet with like that on your teeth, like that
would have been rough, yeah.
That sucked. It was not fun. So I hated that one too because of that. I did like guitar for a summer, but that wasn't a worthwhile cause. But yeah, it's pretty much piano. My mom forced me to play the piano.
That's
God
awesome.
bless her heart.
Yeah, thanks, Mom.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mom, honestly.
Yeah, because I'm sure that helps a lot.
I would have no idea what I'm doing without that.
Because are you writing on a keyboard like a little bit? Like, how does that work?
No, so I actually just got a keyboard for the first time a couple months ago. Prior to that, I'd never used one. I just do it all on the computer.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you get this program, you're messing around with the program a bit, you're going to Kent State, you're doing the track and field, and then what clicked in you that you're like, you know what, I'm just going to go for the music? So
there was a bit of a transitionary period. Somehow I had cultivated a little bit of like a following on like SoundCloud, the SoundCloud platform.
Okay.
I was doing like remixes. I was doing remixes like every 2 weeks.
And you were just putting them up online?
Yeah, I was always doing like no strategy or anything, literally just like throwing them up on SoundCloud. It was at a time when SoundCloud was prominent enough that you could do that and you could actually like garnish people's attention from just that. And yeah, like I said, I had gotten a little bit of I won't say a following, but people were like paying attention to what I was doing, at least a little bit.
Yeah.
So I was fortunate enough to be able to have some conversations. My managers at the time, we were discussing just like the hypothetical of bringing on an agent and like doing some touring.
Yeah.
But it was one of those double-edged swords where it's like, okay, like you can get to do this, but you're in school, you have class, you have practice every morning at 7 a.m. So you kind of had to. I kind of had to put myself in the position of deciding where I wanted to be down the road.
Right.
Because I enjoyed track and I really did, but because of a multitude of circumstances, one of which being I had a hip surgery coming out of high school, and it honestly still hasn't quite recovered. But just I had decided that I didn't really think that I I could, nor would I really want to like make it to like the next. It's like what am I going to do with that after college? You know,
Sure.
It's like I don't. Maybe I could have been somehow been good enough to like go to the Olympics, but it's like then what? You know, it's like what's after that?
Because that would just consume everything. If you're going for the Olympics, I mean, those people just train constantly.
Yeah, I mean, I'm watching my buddies literally do it right now.
Yeah.
They're living it. They're living like what that, I suppose that road like could have been for me had I been good enough to, you know, be able to do that. But
sure.
Even without, you know, that's still something up for chance. I had no idea what was going to happen.
Yeah.
Coming out with a bum hip. Really, like, I still had the passion for it, but it's like when you're doing sports that intensely, you don't really get the liberty of splitting it in two. You don't get the liberty of, you know, having that passion and then having something else that you're dedicating equal time to. Right. I tried it a little bit. I barely toured or did any shows or anything when I was still in school my sophomore year, but there were a couple. There were maybe 5 or 6 that I did, and it was really hard. I would go to class, leave on the weekend to go like here or somewhere else. I remember I did come here specifically, fly back home.
Wow.
And just be like absolutely exhausted and have to wake up at 7 a.m. to like go to practice again. And I was like, I can't do this. Like my body is like just dying.
And study and all that other stuff.
Yeah,
in the
of course.
Too,
and then of course the academic side as well. So I just decided it's like, you know, like I'm fortunate enough to have this opportunity where I can even have these conversations. I'm speaking with agents. Like I have a chance of actually like doing something here if I go for it.
Right. So you, from SoundCloud, you were able to get some people to manage you at that point?
Yeah, just to get a couple people behind me. I had managers at the time, and then my current agent, Ferry, actually, is who we were in conversations with, and he decided to take my project under his wing that January, which would be top of 2017.
Okay.
I don't think that he would have done so had I still been in college, because that doesn't make sense for him. So, hey man, we got this great offer for you. Oh, sorry, I have class. There are a few people that I know that actually do that, and respect to them. But I didn't think that it was when I do something, I really want to like dedicate myself wholeheartedly to it, and I was devastated because I wasn't able to do that with anything, not school, not track, not music. So I decided that I needed to pick and choose one. So I decided to take the riskiest one with the lowest probable chance of having longevity.
But look at you now.
But the one that I was the most passionate about. You know, at the end of the day, that's what mattered to me. I can go back to college whenever I choose. Sure, I wouldn't be on the scholarship, but I could find a way to make it work.
Go online. There's plenty of ways to do it nowadays. You know what I mean?
My dad's working on getting his master's right now. So if anything, I could do that at some point.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Congrats, Dad.
Yeah, congrats, Dad. He's killing it.
Well, I love your music too. Like,
thank you.
If I were to start working out again, that's definitely like, I love the, you know, like the beats. Like, I just love like waking up to it and like getting ready.
Amazing.
I did my makeup listening to it. Like, I just love it. And our 11-year-old does too. And so
yeah, he gets way into it.
I love that.
Yes.
That's the future.
I love it.
Yeah, he loves it. We jammed to you on the way to school, but like I think
that's so cool.
Yeah, no, this is amazing that we're sitting down with you. But I think that your background with running and like knowing like what type of like beats there are as you're running, like I feel like that helps make really great jams. Like
Well, thank you.
If I were to be on elliptical,
there might be a part of that that's into it. I think that would be a bit small, but could be that.
Yeah. So once you decided on your agent and stuff, like how did you break out of, you know, making stuff at Kent State or wherever, you know, putting music together there, throwing it up on SoundCloud, but now to touring? Like, how did that? Were you playing gigs out in Ohio and stuff, or no?
Oh no. To this day, I've only done 2 shows in Ohio.
Wow.
Yeah. There's not much of a scene out there at all.
Okay.
So it's not really one of those things where you can build like a local profile and then go from there. There's a bit of a scene now. I haven't been, like I said, I haven't played a show there in a couple of years. But yeah, it's really just not one of those things.
So you had to like physically travel to
So I
go to places that you knew
Correct.
Scene.
Yeah, so I was starting to travel to designated markets where there were like there's like an electronic scene. There's people that cared about what I was doing and would maybe come out to like see a show.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what we went into. That spring top of 2017 was actually really busy. I was worried for a little bit. I didn't know like whether or not I was going to be able to like do shows, but I think I ended up doing like 20 between January and February, which was really good. So
yeah,
really, really, really good.
What was your first big show?
Literally here.
Really? Here in San Diego?
It was the club I was telling you about before we started this, Basement.
Basement?
Yes.
Really?
It was Basement.
So you were in Ohio, and then they're like, okay, we got you a gig here in San Diego, and then you flew out here, and wow.
Yeah,
that's really
I had
amazing.
only flown one time before.
Really?
So I brought my best friend with me because I was scared.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, we and then we went to the club. It was the first time that the industry standard for like DJing is a pair of Pioneer CDJs.
Sure.
That was the first time I had ever used them. So I was like literally shaking before I went on. I had no idea what to expect. A buddy of mine in college, I went to his apartment because he had a pair and just messed around for a little bit with them, but I had no knowledge aside from that. So,
whoa.
Yeah, it was really scary. I was so scared.
So you get here and you just have to like hope that you could kind of pull it together. Like that must have been quite a stressful situation.
And also, I had never been this far west. I actually don't think that I had been west of Ohio at all, period.
Whoa.
At that point in my life. Trying to think if that's incorrect. I think that's correct. I don't think I had ever been west of Ohio. So coming out to California, it was like, whoa. Big whoa.
Yeah. I can imagine.
At the time, like if you're under 21, like are you able to get into the clubs? Like,
so in the instance of that one, that was an under 21 club. It was an 18 plus. Still is.
Yeah.
So there wasn't any sort of stipulation on that one. However, I'm 22 now, so I've been avoiding this for a couple of years. But when I started doing Vegas, obviously Vegas is 21 plus. There's nothing in Vegas that's 18.
Right.
I had to get escorted in and out of the building within 5 minutes of my set. So I'd play like I think I'd play midnight. I play 1 to 3 now with my residency, but I think I would play midnight because I was opening for other DJs. So they would bring me in 11:55, and I would play until 1. And then literally right as soon as 1 o'clock rang, I had to get escorted by security out of the building.
Wow.
And the other thing with that was that the booth, like the DJ booth, no alcohol.
Oh.
No alcohol in the entire DJ booth. So it was a totally dry booth. So whoever's playing after me was like kind of like irritated
with you.
He was like, I can't have like my booze, and it's like, I'm sorry, man. Like I can't do anything. I can just run away as soon as I'm done. But yeah, that's they're pretty strict about that, and rightfully so. But that was actually kind of fun.
Yeah,
it's a funny story at the very least to think back on. I was my goal was to get a residency before I turned 21, and I did, and I got to play one single show before, like my own headline before I turned 21, and that was cool.
So you get the residency, but you knew when it was starting you were about to turn 21.
Yeah, I played we Ferry landed the residency for me at the top of 2018. It had to have been 2018. So I played my first show of the residency in February.
Oh wow!
And so
my birthday is in March, so literally 1 month right before.
That's crazy.
Barely made it, but we did.
That's awesome. And like for people that are listening, like what does a residency entail? Like,
oh, it's contracted stuff. It basically just means that you get a certain number of shows there throughout the calendar year.
Okay.
Quote unquote residency. I think it's just because you're doing like a number of shows there for a year. Like there's nowhere else like in the world where I'll do 10 shows. So
right.
Being in Vegas doing 10 shows, which is like what my residency is, which is like a smaller tier.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
Is it like it's not consecutive? Then you wouldn't be there from like April 20th to
No.
You know what I mean? Like
no.
yeah.
No, I get what you're saying. No, it's spread out throughout the course of the year. So throughout the course of the year, I'll do like I think it's 10. I pulled that number out of thin air, but I believe that it's like 10 plays in Vegas. So that is what is the residency.
That's awesome. Mm-hmm. That's really, really cool. I mean, I'm sure that must have been pretty crazy to hear, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I really didn't know like what it entailed, but like especially the club. I'm at Hakkasan, which Hakkasan Group actually owns Omnia, which we're going to tonight. But like I had heard of Hakkasan for like a super long time, like Steve Aoki playing there and whatnot. So it was always just like very surreal. And then like getting to finally play there was surreal. And then hearing that they were willing to give me a chance on a residency was like, whoa, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because a lot of the big names in EDM and stuff all come to Omnia here, and it's because of the whole.
It's incredible company.
It's
incredible company. Yeah, I was very fortunate to get that, and I'm very fortunate to still be there right now. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really, really cool, man. Just think back a couple of years ago, you were, you're doing track at Kent State, and now you're on these residencies at Las Vegas and playing San Diego tonight. That's so cool.
It really is cool. I feel very blessed. It's been. I mean, it's really crazy to look back on and think that's. My girlfriend is graduating college this year. God bless her heart.
Congratulations!
But we were the same year. So just like thinking back, it's like I would be like right there. Like I would be graduating this spring. It's just kind of crazy to think about.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you can always go back.
Oh, of course. There will be a day.
You could teach this, like.
An EDM course.
True.
Honorary doctorate.
That would mean that I would have to be patient.
That's awesome.
Oh, man. Well, dude, thank you so much for sitting down with us.
Yeah, of course. Thank you guys so much for having me.
Yeah, and I saw that you posted on Instagram like 9 hours ago that your EP is out.
I did, yes. Is today Friday?
Yeah.
Okay, so technically it's still... I think it's still Friday. What's like 11 something?
There's still like 20 minutes left.
11 something PST. Yes, we're still technically on official release day. Yes, I released my first EP today.
Wow, that's so awesome, man! Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. We're honored to be, part of this day.
Oh, thank you.
That's so rad. Like, how much? That must have been a lot of time put into that record.
Oh yeah, it was. So I'm with this one. I was like really, really picky about like how. The quality and just like what I wanted it to be like. I'd pretty much been working on it for about a year, but to clarify, that's not exclusive. Like I'd made a bunch of there's 6 songs on the record, but I had been working on like a lot of other songs over the course of the year. Not just those 6.
Sure.
But, some of the songs on it I started this time last year.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just it takes a long time, I guess, to put those things together. I never really realized it until I tried it myself. But if you want to be any bit particular about things, you better have time to spare.
Well, thank you so much for doing this. We're honored to have you here and stoked that your record's out today. And
thank you guys so much. Thank you for having me.
And just one more question for you. Do you have any advice for aspiring artists?
Oh, of course. I always do. And I love when aspiring artists reach out to me, and I love to give them any sort of help and advice that I can. But as far as the piece of advice that I would swear by the most, there is no shortcut for hours of work. Period. Good. There's nothing that you can do that will shortcut hours and hours of work. The time that you put in is exactly what you're going to get right back out. So if you want to get good at it and you want to do it, you absolutely can, as long as you are willing to put the time in. I don't know what that loud noise was. But.
I completely agree. That's awesome. And you've put in the work. You put in tons and tons of hours.
I have many hours to go.